Hi everybody and welcome to Heel Heat. This is our Ring of Honor show for the week. My name is George Coles and as you can see I'm riding solo on this one. Let's get right into the show. We have our first match of the night, a grudge match. Michael Bennett, almost said Elgin, versus his former mentor, Brutal Bob Evans. Pretty decent match. Brutal Bob's a guy that's been around the Northeast Independents for about 20 years or so. Hasn't done too much other than manage in Ring of Honor, but he's a very solid hand, and it was a very good match. You can obviously tell the two guys were very familiar with each other, and they worked it well. Bennett obviously picks up the win. After the match, Cheeseburger saves Brutal Bob from a beatdown, which was Brutal Bob saved Cheeseburger to facilitate the split between Bennett and Brutal Bob. So it was payback. Cheeseburger gets destroyed too. Hopefully we get to see more of the kid. I see a lot of drive. He does not have any kind of body. He looks like a stick, but the kid has a lot of passion and drive, and you always got to respect that. And I hope, maybe a couple of years, a little bit of weight and strength training, he'll really develop into a great wrestler. I mean, the drive's there, the ambition's there, the talent's is there so far. But I hope we get to see big things out of Cheeseburger. I love his name too. Who wouldn't love Cheeseburger? I mean, really. Like, you're surprised I would. Anyway, Michael Bennett comes out looking strong. Maria Kanellis looking as beautiful as ever. And speaking of Maria, she sticks around on commentary for the next match, which is a ladies or women of honor match with Mischief versus the debuting Bonesaw Brooke. Now, we're given the knowledge that Bonesaw Brooke has been training in the Ring of Honor dojo for the last 2 years, which I believe, I might be wrong, I know Delirious still runs it. I think Daisy Hayes helps with the women's wrestlers. I may be wrong on the Daisy Hayes part, but maybe not. Pretty solid match, a couple of sloppy little moments, but it is to be expected with someone having their debut match with a veteran like Mischief. Mischief, of course, gets a win. I believe they're building the whole women's division there around Mischief, which deservedly so. She's a damn good wrestler. I would have liked to seen the Mist. She ended the match with a sort of almost a pedigree off the second rope from a Shattered Dreams position, if you can imagine that. But weird, interesting finisher from a weird and interesting wrestler. Really good, decent match. I hope Bonesaw Brooke keeps at it. She looks like she has some talent, and she looks like she's been paying attention. I'm really enjoying, I said this last week, that Ring of Honor is bringing in some new talent and new fresh blood into the company. A company like Ring of Honor, that's the only way they survive. I mean, their talent gets rated like it's nothing. I mean, look at all their world champions that are either on Monday nights or Thursday nights now and gone from the company altogether. It's refreshing to see the newer, fresher talent and hopefully eventually get their comeuppance and get to the top. I like watching the progression of a wrestler. Someone like a perfect example is Bryan Danielson, aka Daniel Bryan, who pretty much I've been able to watch his entire career from the beginning. He started really early in the Ring of Honor and went over to Japan, seen a little bit of his Japan stuff, was pretty much a staple of Ring of Honor, and you got to see him develop from a good wrestler with a little bit of mic skill and charisma to now where he's one of the top talents in the whole world. Same thing with Tyler Black, Seth Rollins, who I seen on Ring of Honor, and even before that on Wrestling Society X, the failed MTV experiment, which I thought was decent. Other than some of the little goofy aspects, I mean, there was some good wrestling on there. Jimmy Jacobs, X-Pac, Vampiro, Judas Messias was on there. Seth Rollins, I mean, some good wrestlers on the show. Scorpio Sky. It could have went somewhere. I think if they would have put a little more into it, I think it would have been more successful. I don't I thought that they hurt themselves going up against the new ECW, but I'm getting off of the Ring of Honor subject, so let me get back on track here. Sorry about that. Main thing is I like seeing the new talent. I'd like to see the progression of their careers, is basically what I was getting at. Our next match has 6 of the mainstays of Ring of Honor in a 6-man tag. We have BJ Whitmer and the American Wolves, Davey Richards and Eddie Edwards, going up against Kevin Steen, Michael Elgin, and Tommaso Ciampa. This was a fantastic match. I mean, every wrestler got some spots in. Every wrestler came in looking strong, came out looking strong. They abided by the Code of Honor. One of the funniest moments in Ring of Honor, at least in my opinion, was in the beginning in the Code of Honor. Davey Richards hugs Kevin Steen and gives him a quick hug, or shakes his hand and gives him a quick hug. I blew it, I'm sorry. But he shakes his hand and gives him a quick hug. Very out of character for Davey Richards, trying to break Kevin Steen's character, I believe, make him laugh a bit. I thought the match was excellent. I thought everybody in the match shined. Pretty much this is the cream of the crop there. I mean, Steen's your former world champion. Edwards and Richards are former world champions. Don't want to say the spoiler on them, but they're former world champions and former tag champions. And BJ Whitmer is a guy that's former multiple-time tag champion. Probably should have been a world champion back in about 2007, but they were going with long, strong runs at that point, so transitional champions really weren't an option. Michael Elgin, I think, is the guy that's going to win the tournament. And Tommaso Ciampa, the sky's the limit for that kid. I mean, Tommaso, he is absolutely crisp. His moves are almost exactly flawless. He's a real charisma about him, kind of reminiscent of Antonio Cesaro or Claudio Castagnoli for Ring of Honor fans. But I really like Tommaso Ciampa. The Steen, Elgin, and Ciampa team wins after hitting a lot of their signature moves. All in all, a really fun match. Brings us back to the early days of Ring of Honor. For those of us who've watched long enough that used to get the DVDs or VHSs even when they started, they had a lot of these kind of matches where they just put all the All-Stars in one match and said, here you go, fans, here's a treat for you. I really enjoyed it. I like a 6-man match concept. I think one of the best things they did was the King of Trios tournament that they did, Chikara, which I'm probably pronouncing wrong, I always do. They used to run a Trios tournament, which is a 6-man tag tournament every year. One of the highlights of the year for me. I love the concept of a good 6-man match, and a real fan of the old 6-man tag team championship. It just gives me it's something more fun. It's a little bit more faster pace than a regular tag team match, and I love tag team matches. It's a different spin on it. It's, there's no real rest holds because you got 6 different guys trying to work their spots. It's a staple of the Mexican promotions, AAA, CMLL, and all the other companies that run out of Mexico. They do these trios matches like it's nothing, and they get over great. I love that they used it here. I love that the participants in this, it was just a straight fun match. And it's just what it is. Ring of Honor is a fun wrestling show to watch for a wrestling fan, and this brings you back. I've often compared it, and it's fitting that I'm wearing the NWA shirt right now. I compare Ring of Honor to the NWA Saturday morning show that used to come out in the 80s that was basically Jim Crockett Promotions show, and which evolved a little bit from the Georgia Championship Wrestling roster, came into Jim Crockett. Ring of Honor's show reminds me a lot of that 80s style NWA. I believe they used to call the show World Championship Wrestling before Ted Turner seceded World Championship Wrestling from NWA. But it reminds me a lot of that show, a lot of the way they structure it, a lot of the hour time limit. I mean, it's just a good, fun, old-fashioned wrestling show for wrestling fans, and I really enjoy it. And I hope anybody that's watching this that hasn't watched Ring of Honor, search it out. I mean, if you don't get it on your local cable or satellite provider, go on their website. They do show their TV show. Every Thursday they release the last week's show, so you can watch it there. Go check it out. Give these guys a look. A lot of the great young talent is in Ring of Honor right now. But basically, before we get over with this here video, let's go in our rating system. Now, if you've watched the show before, you know we have a system of 1 to 5. 5 being the best, 1 being the worst. And I'm going to give the show a solid 4. It was rather enjoyable. The first match had purpose. The Woman of Honor match was a good, solid match. The main event night was extremely fun and just a good wrestling exhibition. The one thing that may have put it over the top to be a 5 is maybe if we had a little bit of the feuds into it, a little bit of the reasoning. Don't get me wrong, I like a good thrown together match just as much as anybody, but when you're drawn into the storyline, let's say BJ Whitmer versus Tommaso Ciampa for whatever reason, they had a feud going on. That would bring more interest into the match, not just be a throwaway one-off match as like an exhibition basically. So, all in all, a really fun show. Just that little bit to take it over the top. But anyway, I give it a 4 out of 5. Still a very solid show. Basically, that's all I have to say on this. My name is George Coles, and this has been our Heel Heat Ring of Honor show for the week.